Thanks for stopping by. Today we are going to look at what we call emergency safety drill. Like in my previous video, I discussed what safety drill is all about, types of safety drill we have. It's like I have discussed like three or four types of safety drill we have in safety. Today we are going to look at the emergency safety drill. So what is a emergency safety drill? Emergency safety drill is a procedure that we normally use to prepare the workers and employees in terms of emergency, either in a working place, facility, building, or any kind of organization. It helps to equip people, it helps to control people in terms of emergency. So emergency drill could be conducted for fire drill when there is fire incident. You can conduct emergency drill. When there is active shooters drill, you can conduct emergency drill. When there is earthquake drill, you can conduct emergency drill. So in a nutshell, emergency safety drill is a way of preparing people in terms of eventuality and in terms of emergency situation. Then, for us to have an effective emergency safety drill, there's a way, there are some things you need to follow for you to conduct the emergency safety drill. One, prepare and prepare an evacuation plan. You need to have an evacuation plan. How to evacuate people within the facility when there is an emergency. One, you need to train your employees on how to respond to emergency situation. You need to communicate the drill in advance. This emergency safety drill, you need to communicate it in advance to your employees in the particular organization or environment. You need to always be rehearsing it maybe once in a week so that people will understand and it will not become part of them. You need to rehearse it, like I said, you need to keep rehearsing it, like mostly at times, depending on the situation of things, maybe once in a week, you need to rehearse an emergency safety drill with your employers or employees. You need to have a rally point, okay? You also need to have observers. You need to place observers, people that will observe how people are responding to the emergency drill. You also need to have your own final thought. The way people respond, the way they react, is it okay? Is it good enough for them to respond or react when there is an emergency? If it is not, you will now check what are the weak points, what you're supposed to put in place, what you're supposed to do. So for you to have all these things to be perfect, you need to be rehearsing it so that it will become part of the system within the facility. We also have components that goes into emergency safety action plan. This emergency safety drill, there are some components that normally goes in with it. One, a clear chain of command. There must be a clear chain of command. It's not something everybody will be discussing. It's not something everybody will have permission or have the right to do it. It must have to be assigned to a competent person, authorized person. An evacuation plan, you need to have an evacuation plan. Evacuation plan need to be in place. A shelter in place of a plan. You need to have a shelter. When you are evacuating people, where are they going? The place they are going, are they secure? You need also have to have a communication plan. If it is through by alarm, if it is through by announcement, These are the things you need to have in place so that you can communicate with people easily for them to respond when there is a emergency safety drill. An incident command system. There must be an incident command system. There must be either a particular, either an alarm that is that through your rehearsal or through the process you are passing through, you have used this to communicate to people that whenever this alarm blows, it's for emergency. Or whenever you hear such a bell or when you hear such an announcement, it's for emergency. So these are the components. You also need to have to exercise all these your plans. Understand? For you to have a competent and perfect emergency action plan when you are about to carry emergency safety drill. So once all these things are in place, you can now begin to develop your emergency safety drill. So we're also going to look at the importance of this safety drill. It helps employees, it helps employers to improve in areas that they are not competent, areas that there are lapses, there are loopholes. It helps them to improve. It also helps to identify the weakness of either the facilities, the management, and also the employees. It also help the business to prepare for emergency. So these are the importance of this emergency safety drill. It helps to reshape the structure of the facilities or the companies that you find yourself. So these are the benefits. So these are the importance of this emergency safety drill. And mostly it's being carried out by a competent person or a safety supervisor or a safety officer. Like you heard one of the components, it says you need to have a you need to place an observers. So these observers need to be trained on how they will give report on, okay, this is how these people were responding. They respond positively or they respond negatively. So your report as an observer would help this emergency safety drill to be perfect and also be effective. So these are all what emergency safety drill is all about. So thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. I will discuss also what earthquake and evacuation safety drill is all about. Thank you.